Planning isn't the problem. You are not in the plan. Your planning system should free you. It's not there to make you feel controlled and like a failure. So in this week's episode, we are going to take a really good look at your to-do list and introduce the concept of a to-do list and a get-to list, because I want you to leave this episode with permission to put yourself on your to-do list. I'm also giving away a free one-to-one session with me to one lucky winner, and all of the details of that are, for obvious reasons, going to come at the end of this episode. So stay with me through the rest of this episode. It's a good one. We're going to cover a lot of practical elements of nervous system friendly planning, and at the end you will find out how you can win that one-to-one session with me. Welcome to the Feminine Duality, a podcast for midlife women where we heal from burnout and we learn how to take charge of our crazy time again. Take a look at your to-do list for me. Are you the kind of person who has 30 things on your to-do list because your mind is always so full that if you don't write them down somewhere, they will get lost? Or are you perhaps the kind of person who has 3 things on your to-do list because you saw that Instagram post about narrowing down and really limiting your to-do list in order to deal with the overwhelm you're feeling, and so now there are only 3, maximum 5 on there, only the ones that are most priority. But the problem is that all the other things that also have to be done, because let's face it, for midlife women who are working and have families and responsibilities, 3 items are never going to be enough to cover what you actually need to do, right? Can you honestly say that you're able to tick off your to-do list every day? I mean, particularly if you are the everything has to be on there kind of person. Do you actually feel like you're able to keep up? Or is it perhaps more true that at least half of your to-do list are things that got kicked into today from yesterday because you didn't get to it yesterday, and they're probably going to be moved to tomorrow because you're not going to get to them today either, and you get the idea, right? It's an ongoing kicking the ball down. I'm not dissing kicking it down the line, by the way. I think that there are going to be items on your to-do list that you should delay in order to free up some time and space in your capacity. It's absolutely okay to kick them down the line, but then perhaps they don't belong on your daily to-do list. They belong somewhere else. I guess what I am asking really is this. Is your to-do list a rigid rule book that has to be followed and ticked off? Or are you able to use it as a supportive scaffolding that holds your mental clutter for you so that you're free to get on with stuff and enjoy life? And that second one, that's what we're aiming for today. Hello, are you joining me now, Luca? She's like, you're sitting down. There you go. I'm good at planning. If you ask any of my friends, they will tell you that I am scarily organized. Particularly if you ask people who worked with me back in the days of my corporate life. Because back in the days of my corporate life, I managed a global team. So I had team members in 5 different locations around the world. Each team or each location had their own specific responsibilities, their own specific deadlines. Yes, I had local managers, but I was coordinating and having an overview of the global picture. I was also running multiple projects that were looking into how we could improve our product offering for our clients, how we could improve the efficiency of how we were working, and how we could use our stuff in a more streamlined way. Okay, so that is a lot. That's quite an impressive job role, actually. There was no way I could hold all of that in my mind. I also had a home life, a marriage, a disabled child, a toddler, a house, car, all the trappings of what life is supposed to be. 2.5 child and a Volvo or whatever it is. I was the family project manager. So I was managing projects at work, I was managing projects at home. I needed a system to hold all of this. And this is where I started developing the command center that is now my framework for nervous system friendly planning. Although back then it was probably missing the nervous system side of it. That is when I discovered bullet journaling. And I love a bullet journal. For those of you who are not familiar or only vaguely familiar with bullet journaling, a bullet journal is a blank notebook, very often with a dotted grid. Those are the bullets. And you then get to do whatever you want with it. You decide how you want to use it, which is fantastic and can be incredibly overwhelming. I mean, particularly if you go on Pinterest and you search bullet journal and you are met with all of these amazing, creative, fantastic, talented people who have turned their bullet journals into absolute works of art. And that looks fantastic, but can I actually, can I do that? And another thing you're going to get on Pinterest is 50 collections you have to have in your bullet journal, because apparently you need a reading list, and you need a films list, and you need a period tracker, and you need a mood tracker, and you need a water intake tracker, and you need a step tracker, and you need you get it, right? A bullet journal can become overwhelming very, very fast if you let it. Yeah, I did look at that and I went, do I really need all of this? And I added some of these collections. I added my books I have read this year, drawn out as a bookcase in order to fill in the spines of the books and what I've read. I never used it. I don't think I filled in even one book, but I thought I ought to have it because that's what it said. I did not need that, okay? But the danger of it is that you could actually fill an entire bullet journal with just collections. I'm not saying that's wrong. I teach bullet journaling, and one of my clients, her bullet journal is just a collection of collections. She is retired. She doesn't need to have a day-to-day planning system. What appointments she has, they can easily go in the calendar on her phone. What she needs is a brain dump. She needs somewhere to create a packing list for when she goes to Spain. She needs somewhere to plan out what she's going to cook over the next week because she picked up some amazing bargains at the farmer's market. And what on earth is she going to do with all of these fantastic, amazing, random, disconnected things that she bought? So that's what her bullet journal is. It's not a calendar or a day-to-day view or even a weekly view. It's literally just, on this page, I have this idea and I just need to work it out on paper. And on this page, I have that idea and I need to work it out on paper. And it's great. And this woman, she can't draw for toffee, but she uses stickers everywhere. And it's actually a really attractive bullet journal. And then to the complete contrast to that is another client of mine who lives with a chronic illness. She has a child with the same chronic illness and special needs. And this is the woman who coined the term family project manager. I've taken it straight from her. Thank you so much. It's a brilliant term. Because of her chronic illness, she has days where she's in incredible pain and has absolutely zero energy. And she needs to have a really good overview of what is happening in my life over the next few months to a year, so that she can then, on the daily, go, am I actually capable of getting out of bed today? If I can get out of bed, how many spoons have I then got in order to get things done? And so she does use her bullet journal as a daily planner, and it's all very much about energy management. I used my bullet journal back then definitely for the day-to-day planning, well, weeklies. I used weekly spreads back then, and I used it as an amazing creative outlet. I did fall into the Pinterest rabbit hole a bit, not drawing, but calligraphy. I would find very sarcastic or very sweary or just downright funny quotes, and then I would write them in my bullet journal in beautiful calligraphy. And I could do this because I was commuting into London, so I was sat on a train for an hour every morning and every afternoon, and that was my creative time. So I would be sitting on this packed commuter train and I would write stunningly beautifully, all my pants are sassy, and I would draw hundreds of little frilly pants around it. It was great. It was fun. I did get some looks. I wonder why. But yes, I would have like a full page of that, and then I would have a weekly followed by another weekly, kind of doing the weeklies for the months, and then another page of a beautifully written quote with a lot of swear words in it, and then going into that month's weeklies again, right? I could do that back then because of that commuter time, and it was a stunning creative outlet, and it was very therapeutic. When there was a clear container of time and space where I could not do anything else, that was very therapeutic. But the bullet journal was for my personal life. For my work life, I basically replicated the bullet journal system, but in digital form. I used OneNote, and so I had like an overview page of my team and all the projects, and then it would go into tabs to delve deeper into and have the timelines and the steps needed to take and what comes next. And yeah, but it's the same kind of idea. It's creating a planning system for what you need right now. That is my framework. It's plan for you. Create a system that is for you. And so I was scarily organized. Okay, I had to be. But I think it will come as no surprise to anybody that if my life is so complex that I need one physical bullet journal and one digital bullet journal, I have a lot of stuff going on. And yes, I was capable, but I was also very overwhelmed and downright resentful. And in all of my projects, in all of my fantastic planning systems, I wasn't really in there, apart from maybe in the sassy pants. A little bit. And then here comes the plot twist. I ended my marriage and I was made redundant, so I lost my job. And these things also coincided with perimenopause hitting me like a ton of bricks because, what is life without a sense of timing, right? I no longer had my project manager in London persona, and I no longer had my family project manager persona. Those were gone and I had nothing left. I had no me. Because in none of the plans, in none of the projects, was there a container named Tova. I was using planning as a management tool, as a productivity tool, as a form of responsibility container. But I was not using it as a support system. And that sounds weird because planning is sold as a support system. Because it supports you to manage, it supports you to be productive, right? It supports you to hold on to your responsibilities, but there is a real shift in how to use the planning to be supportive to you. I stopped bullet journaling at this point. I no longer had capacity for it. I wasn't working anymore and I wasn't married anymore. I was on my own. I was looking after only me. Surely that had opened up more space. Yes, it did initially, but with that space, my nervous system was finally able to say, girl, you are burnt out. Stop it now. And it just went zoom into a little tight ball of deep burnout depression. And that was a tiny ball. There was no space in that ball. There was only depression. I could not draw frilly pants at this time, nor could I draw lines around a weekly outline. I could not do it. And I stopped planning. Appointments went into my Google Calendar, but I did not open a bullet journal for months. And despite using my Google Calendar, I was not on top of anything. I probably wasn't using my Google Calendar all that effectively. And I didn't have a physical planner, journal, calendar, call it whatever you want, with me. I dropped a lot of stuff. Like all of these plates that I was so used to spinning, they just came crashing down around me. I eventually came to the conclusion that I needed something. I needed some form of planning system to help get me back on track. But I needed that planning system to be supportive of me, of my energy, of the state of my nervous system. I needed scaffold, not rigidity. And I needed to not have to sit and draw out lines by myself. I got myself a pre-printed planner. And I got it knowing full well that it was not going to fit my life. But it was a deliberate, temporary solution. It was a stepping stone. Because I am pretty sure that there is not a single planner company out there who are sitting there going, now what does a co-parenting special needs mom really need from her planning system? I have not been able to find a planner that meets all of that. But I got myself a pre-printed planner and I started using it. And absolutely no surprise to anybody, I outgrow it very, very quickly. And I went back to my bullet journaling system. And this time I put myself first in my planning. Now I am not planning merely to get things done. Now I am planning to support my nervous system and be there for me. I have not invented a brand new planning system, not at all. I am using the system I was using before, but what I have done is I have completely shifted how I'm using it, how I'm thinking about it. It is a mind shift change of planning is there to support me first and not just everything and everybody else. Okay, so what does this actually look like? As I say, it's a mind shift change, and I'm going to have to try and explain that mind shift change with, I suppose, practical real life examples. So let's see how I go with this. I will give a few different kinds of examples, and you can take or leave them as works for you. One of my mind shift changes was I now plan in rest first. When I plan my day, when and how do I rest? And when I say I plan that in first, I have times I have to keep, I have appointments I need to be at, or I have a work shift I need to attend, right? And there are certain basic needs of my children, or in the case of my oldest child, not so basic at all, right? So from last week's episode, I spoke about the different kinds of responsibilities. You have your true non-negotiables, the things that actually can't be shifted, such as my daughter's medical care. But I don't have my daughter every day, so that's not on my to-do list every day. But when it is, that's on my to-do list before I plan rest. It makes sense in my head, okay? And then you have your structural obligations, and this would be things like timetable appointments and work patterns and things that they are there because this is how our system works. It's the planning for the rest of the time, and that's where rest first goes in. How and when do I rest? Is it a nap today? Is it a walk out in the sunshine? Is it a day when I have had a full shift at work and I've gone straight from there to pick up the girls up, and then we're going home, and then I just have the afternoon and evening with them? Okay, well, in that case, are we spending a little bit of time just sitting painting or drawing together, doing something crafty, which I suppose would fall under both creative rest and social rest and spiritual rest? I did an episode a while back about the different kinds of rest and why creative rest is so important. So that's what I'm leaning back on here. But how and when do I rest? And this could also be, my rest today is that after the kids have gone to bed, I am watching 2 episodes of Grey's Anatomy. The kind of thing that so easily gets dismissed as procrastination, doom scrolling, just staring blindly at the TV, not doing anything other than watching TV because you're so tired at the end of the day. It gets dismissed. There is nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong with taking some time to watch telly after the kids have gone to bed. You're not bad for doing it. But choose to do it, and you won't feel bad about doing it, right? Mind shift change. See what I did there? How about having a to-do list? I love me a to-do list. You have your to-do list, the things you have to get done. But what about all the other things that you also got done today that weren't on the to-do list? Ta-da! You get to write them down, tick them off, and give yourself a nice little dopamine boost in the process. Example from a few days ago. The community OT rang me to book an appointment to come and take some measurements so that she can order a profiling bed for my daughter. Oh my God, this is medical mama speech. I'm so sorry. OT, occupational therapist, profiling bed, hospital style of bed, but in the home. You can move it up and down, and you can raise the back and you can raise the knees. It was not on my to-do list to take that phone call and make that appointment. It was on her to-do list, right? But I took the call and I made the appointment, and ta-da! I love a to-do list. I think a to-do list is brilliant. I also came across the concept of a get-to list. Now, I got this from a podcast episode, and I'm so sorry, I can't remember which podcast it was, or which episode, because we're talking about 6 months ago I came across this, and I was like, this is brilliant. The get-to list is the list of the things that you get to do today. What do you get to do today? I suppose it could be a very similar thing to my rest first. Like, I get to go for a walk in the sunshine. I get to go for a coffee with a friend. I get to go to bed in clean sheets. What do you get to do today? What do you want to do, and what of that do you actually get to do? It's a really neat concept. I quite like it. You have things like gratitude journaling. You can use your planner for gratitude journaling, which is every day write down 3 little things that you're grateful for that day, or 3 little things that were positive that day. I tend to go with positive rather than grateful because that's just how my brain works, but I suppose they're really the same thing. You can be grateful for the positive stuff, right? And they're small things, like more often than not, that first sip of coffee is on my gratitude journal list. There's something magical about that first sip of coffee. And if I am making an effort to notice it, that has such a fantastic impact on my mental health. What about asking for and accepting help? You know, if you're overwhelmed about stuff, ask for help. You know that you need to go through your wardrobe and declutter it and get rid of everything that you don't wear or that is misshapen or is broken or doesn't fit anymore. And that is one of those items that gets kicked down the line because honestly, it can wait. It's not an emergency. It doesn't have to happen right now, but it's sitting there in your mind, constantly reminding you that it's there because it doesn't want to be forgotten. And every time that reminder comes up, it grows and it grows. And it grows. And now that bloody wardrobe is taking up a lot of space. Oh, for heaven's sake, just call Rachel and say, Rachel, come over. We'll make some coffee. Help me declutter my wardrobe because I can't do it myself. Rachel would love to do it. Trust me, Rachel really wants to come and help you declutter your wardrobe. That is like an amazing thing for her because she hasn't seen you in ages. She really wants to see you. She has her own wardrobe that she's not dealing with because that's too big for her. But your wardrobe, oh God, she can get your wardrobe under control, right? And so she comes over and you go through that and you get all the bags off to charity and maybe you make it a double date and you do her wardrobe. But ask for and accept help. Think about when somebody says, is there anything I can do for you? Think about how you can say yes. Because I know that your standard answer is, oh no, it's all right, I've got it. But go, actually, yes. Yes, I could do with some help. And think of what it is that the person could help you with. In last week's episode, we also talked a lot about the final category of responsibilities in your lives. We've done your non-negotiables, we've done your structural obligations. And then the final thing is your absorbed responsibilities, the things that you didn't actually really choose to do and they aren't actually really yours, but as the capable and responsible woman you are, you saw that they needed doing and then suddenly you're the one doing them. Now, if you are putting yourself in your planner, one way of doing that is to look at these absorbed responsibilities and go, you know what, I don't want that one. It's not mine. Delegate it, push it back to where it belonged or to somebody else. It can be done. I think I had 4 email notifications popping up on my phone yesterday. Good thing I was at work because I saw them and they were about medicine doses for my daughter from the respite care provider. And my immediate instinct is always to, oh my God, this is to do with my daughter, I have to fix it. And then I looked at myself and I went, do I though? Do I need to fix it? And also I'm at work and I'm busy and I can't fix it until it's break time at the earliest. And you know what? By break time, somebody else had fixed it. I didn't do it. I didn't even send an email reply back going, oh, somebody else has to do this. I literally just didn't do it. And somebody else did. And that somebody else was probably another capable woman, but at least she gets paid for being a capable woman in that particular respect because it was my daughter's school nurse who fixed it. The world isn't perfect. If you do one or more of these different things, that really shifts what constitutes a successful day, doesn't it? Maybe you did have a long to-do list today and you only got through 1/3 of it, but your to-do list is 3 times as long. You've actually gotten a lot done today. That took precedence over what you'd written down to do, okay? But you've not failed at your to-do list because you've more than succeeded at your to-do list. You get to see that a successful day also includes things like, I've rested today. Go me. I did something that I wanted to do. I ticked something off my get-to list. It really shifts how you think about your own productivity. It really shifts how you talk to yourself and how you feel about yourself. And that really is where the magic happens. I want you to put yourself on your to-do list. Can you do that? You see, planning can actually be an incredible tool for calming down your nervous system. Done right, it will reduce the internal noise, it will create space, it'll give perspective. It can help you choose and not just react to what is bang there right in front of you. It gives you a bit of discernment, but only if you use it intentionally. So, can you intentionally put yourself on the to-do list? And now for the competition. I'm offering one chance to win a 40-minute one-to-one session with me to help you cut through the noise of overwhelm and help you identify the shift you need to move forward. This is a clarity intervention I'm giving away. You get to say out loud everything that is currently weighing you down, the messy, unfiltered version of it, and I will help you hone in on the one leverage point that will make a difference right now. Essentially, you get to have verbal diarrhea and I will be your Emojium, okay? You'll leave that session with clarity, direction, and a clear next step. To enter this competition, you need to be on my email list. This is exclusive for my email subscribers and my podcast listeners who become email subscribers. So if you're not already on my email list, link in the show notes to join my email list. If you join now before the deadline, you will be automatically entered into the draw. If you are on my email list already, then there will be an opt-in link in this week's email that you need to click on. Okay, so you need to open this week's email, which will come out either the day after this episode is published or the day after that. And you can opt in through that email. Opt into the email list today because the deadline is April 8th, 2026. I should probably make clear because I hope I'm building a legacy here and somebody's listening to this in 2029, you never know. And the winner will be announced on April 9th. And that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much.
From ashes, dust, and crooked lines, I forged a fire.